Hey, hi, hello, this is Scott Farrow of Blue Shoe Recruiting with this week's video. What are the warning signs of a company ready for layoffs? Again, I'm Scott Farrow. I'm the founder of Blue Shoe Recruiting. I've got more than 20 years of recruiting experience. I'm a consultant and career coach working with organizations as well as individuals to take their careers and certainly their organizations to the next level. BlueShoeNotBrown@gmail.com, and I'm Scott Farrow. Again, BlueShoeNotBrown@gmail.com. So back to this week's topic, warning signs of a looming layoff. There are some telltale signs. Friends and relatives are getting laid off more and more, and unfortunately the news is chock full of layoffs and certainly workforce reductions. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics states that more than 20 million people will be laid off due to some workforce reduction this year. That ratio is a 1 in 10. 1 in 10 people that you know will be laid off this year due to a workforce reduction. So I wanted to really put together a video this week that got ahead of that, got ahead of some of the layoffs and really talk to you about some of the telltale signs. So I've put together some of those warning signs for you and certainly want you to be aware of those as you go through your work day. Number one, mergers and acquisitions. Lots of mergers and acquisition discussions, a lot of layoffs because of that, but here's why. There's typically a redundancy in workforces. There may be 2 or 3 people that are doing the same job, and now that these companies have aligned, there is some microscopic review, if you will, of those workers and what they do, and if there is some alignment into what they do, looking for some of the star players that are the cheapest. They cost the organization the least amount of money as far as payroll. The others, unfortunately, will be let go. So watch for that. Number two, loss of a key client. If your organization relies heavily on clients and services and you lose a key client or key account, maybe there are some feelings that are back and forth, or maybe it's just that your client can't keep up with your prices or certainly the prices you're charging them, and they decide to move on. The executives will know this. They will know that they're losing a key account, but they'll keep it quiet. But if you learn that that key account has left, watch out for the next wave. The next wave of layoffs will be an entire team or some key individuals that were on that account. They're going to certainly be asked to come see HR. Startups. If you notice in a startup that the funding is about run its course, there is certainly a financial runway that most organizations have within a startup, and then they'll reach out to investors. If they're having a hard time getting investor money, maybe that is a sign that the investors don't believe in the business model anymore, or maybe the executives, or maybe there's not a good return on investment. A startup will have a hard time securing next round of funding. And if that happens, guess what? Layoffs are coming right down the turnpike as well. Maybe there's a disconnect between upper management and the executives and certainly the staff on what's being shared with the stockholders versus what's being given in an earnings report or whatnot. Obviously, the SEC makes sure that those numbers are exact and that the public has that information. But if this information is not shared correctly with the internal staff, there's nothing legal that the SEC has as far as a binding agreement there. You need to make sure you keep aware of that. Again, what's being released to the public and what's being shared with the staff can be two different things. If there is a disconnect in the money or earnings, and maybe the state of the company address doesn't talk about some of the woes, tip for you, that's a red flag. So keep an eye on that, and layoffs can certainly be looming. Next, keep an eye on HR. HR has a way of being the hatchet men and women for the executives. If you're starting to see your cube mates or your colleagues being called to HR and there's a lot more boxes being stacked up in the hallways than ever before, and there's some hush-hush conversations, and you see a lot more of HR, guess what? That's a typical telltale sign that layoffs are looming as well. So trust your gut on this. Do not bury your head in the sand. If you start to see some of these telltale signs, get your resume ready, get your interview suit ready, start to spend some more time on job boards, and start looking and networking with friends immediately. Again, trust your gut and do not bury your head in the sand. I hope this was helpful, but let's go through a recap. Again, mergers and acquisitions. If you're starting to see a lot of mergers and acquisition activity, keep an eye on that. There is some redundancy in effort. There is going to be some layoffs. If there is a loss of a key client or key account, guess what? There's going to be an entire team let go that was on that account. Startups, if there's an organization that's having a hard time finding funding or securing funding, layoffs are looming. If there's a disconnect between upper management and certainly the staff on really what's being reported and what's being shared, again, I would certainly consider that might be fraudulent activity, but definitely look for layoffs to come. And watch out for HR as HR starts to circle the organization and starting to have conversations and hush-hush conversations. Guess what? Again, layoffs are looming. I hope this was helpful. I've got a full library of videos for you to take a look at. If there's something there that resonates with you, please share it. If you need some individualized coaching, please reach out. Again, I'm Scott Farrow at Blue Shoe Recruiting, blueshoe, not brown, at gmail.com. Be sure to subscribe to the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner and look for next week's video. Until then, have a wonderful week, and hopefully these tips will be tips you never need. Take care.